So let's walk through my process of setting up my charts in the morning and looking at the levels that I'm watching for today. Let's get into it. Today is Thursday. It's going to be the last day of trading this week because tomorrow is Good Friday. The markets will be closed and we got a long weekend. But the way I like to do it with my charts is when I'm done trading at the end of the day, I'll just journal my trades and write them down in my book. And then the next morning, I'll leave my charting till about 8:30 to 9 o'clock, where I'll look through my pre-market plan and then decide what my moves are going to be during the day. And the reason for that is I don't like to get myself biased set up the day before. I'm not super huge on picking out my levels for the next day because I know that price action in pre-market is going to clearly affect my plans throughout the day. And that's why I like to leave it to the morning. So right here, I got SPY pulled up. I always look at market conditions at first, and you can see this week we rejected the supply zone. However, we haven't broken out of this uptrend. I would say, we're still in a clear uptrend. And what's interesting to see on SPY here is we got this break and retest, and I love this break and retest because it shows up all the time. Here we have a head and shoulders, so I got a zone from the head over here. We broke through, and then we retested it, break, and retest. So this little zone that we broke through before is acting like a little bit of demand. So I've got that drawn out today. I expect that to hold. Today I would be looking for buyers to show up in this area, maybe targeting end of day or pre-market high. And the other thing I want to show you is where I got this supply zone. So this is the supply zone I will be targeting today if we can break through pre-market high with strength. But right here is where I got the supply zone from. You can see on the left here. I love to draw my supply zones from the previous candle, the previous bearish candle open to the low of the wick. And you can see that's how I do it. I always pick the candle right before the big move, and that will act as my supply zone. I'll always draw it red. In this case, it would have been green when I drew it, but since price broke out below it, it now became a supply zone. And you can see later on, it acted as supply after hours, and I will be looking for that to act as a supply zone today. Have to wait and see what's going to happen. We do not predict, we only react to what we see in the market. So that's kind of what we're looking out for. We got a level of buyers and we got a level of sellers, and we got pre-market high and end of day in the middle there to make moves off of. So I am going to go ahead and give myself a little bit of a shout out today because my pre-market analysis was on point, and I hope you guys watched this action and got in on this action because it was beautiful. Just like I said, we got buyers in this 314 area. Buyers showed up, and this break and retest level acted as a price magnet. Actually, massive buying volume today. Perfect setups for longs. It was a beautiful day. I made 2 winning trades. Let's get right into it. So I made both of my trades on the S&P 500 today, but QQQ made very similar moves. So if I remember right, this morning I went over this break and retest level right here. We saw the level created over here, and we broke it looking for a retest. And sure enough, buyers stepped up, and this supply zone acted as a price magnet later in the day. So I will walk you through my thought process on how I set up these trades. So one thing that I've been doing lately, I've been reading this book right here. Reading price charts buy by bar has helped me so much. And one of the main things that it showed me is to zoom out to the 5-minute time frame and only look at your trades from a 5-minute time frame. And what that does is allows you to eliminate the noise in the market, and 5-minute candles just show you that much more confidence that your setup is going to work correctly. Previously, I've been using 1-minute candles, and 1-minute candles come with so much noise. Often they elicit more emotions because the market's fluctuating back and forth, and it just doesn't allow you to make the most informed decisions. I found myself rushing trades a lot, and if you're anything like me, as soon as the market opens, I'm super eager to hop on any trend that I see and make money off of it. So what I did is I started setting all of my time frames to the 5-minute chart, and it has helped me immensely in slowing down my entries and also staying in trades for longer. So I'll show you what happened today. So this is what price looked like. We had pre-market high, which I knew whenever price moves away fast from a specific level, that level will likely act as a magnet later on. Maybe that day, maybe a couple days later. But in this case, my plan was to look for longs in this demand zone. Now, one thing that was critical to my success today was even though we saw selling right at the open, that did not mess up my plan to look for longs. And often you want the market just to move straight away in your direction. And it would have been nice to see buying straight out of this level. However, we sold off a little bit. I waited right here. I saw these long wicks on these 5-minute candles to the bottom. And what that was telling me was that buyers were pushing price up and overpowering sellers, bullying sellers, and eventually moving this up. So I saw these two candles right here as indication candles. And then I saw this one as my entry candle. And as soon as this 5-minute candle closed and I saw that it was a bullish candle, I got into this trade and I ran up for a little scalp. Now, one thing that's important to note, and I also learned from reading this book, is that when you look at these candles, when you look at these 5-minute candles, especially, and on higher time frame charts, what often tends to happen is this will look like a bearish candle until the very last second, and then buyers will push it up. And the reason for that is large institutions don't want to give away clues that a little run up is coming. So they will leave the candle until maybe 10 seconds until the close of that candle, and they'll suddenly bring price all the way up and make it look bullish all of a sudden. And the reason they do that is to try to trap more sellers in and then use those sellers stopping out of their positions as fuel to fuel the move to the upside. And that's exactly what happened today. So if you use these 5-minute candles as an indication, make sure you wait for them to close before you actually use them as an indicator to get in. So that's what I did today. I hopped in long here. I saw a lot of buying pressure right here. And on this specific setup, I set a $10 trailing stop loss, which I don't always do. But the reason I did that is because it's been a long time since we have seen actual buying pressure in the market. For the last 4 days, we've seen a lot of weakness and selling. And what I was doing was protecting myself, technically locking in profits to a certain extent. And that worked out perfectly because we made this little reversal at the top. And maybe I lost out on like 10, 15 bucks on my trade, but I still captured a nice move to the upside. Now, it was in a good state of mind. I was in a good state of mind. I had just put on a winning trade. Now I'm waiting to see my next opportunity to enter. And like I said before, when price moves away quickly from a zone, that is likely going to be a zone of interest, in this case, a demand zone. So now I wait for price to re-enter that zone, and I watch what happens when price re-enters that zone. So price came down here. I'm still on the 5-minute time frame, and I saw this large wick to the bottom and poking right into this demand zone. And this is where I went long, and my stop was below the lows over here. So I was expecting price to come all the way down, test these lows. However, there were so many buyers here, they didn't even let it get all the way down to a double bottom. This is technically just a demand retest. And what happened was we kind of diddled around a little bit, and then all of a sudden, these sellers right here got stopped out and fueled a massive move to the upside. And I stayed in all the way until my target of pre-market high, which I talked about before. This was my supply zone right here. So I waited in this trade patiently until it hit my target. And one of the main reasons that I stayed in this trade is because I was watching it on the 5-minute time frame as opposed to the 1-minute time frame. In the past, I would have gotten shooken out, maybe thinking this was a double top right here. As you can see, definitely some sellers came in. We lost a little bit of momentum. But one of the things that was key to my success today was watching level 2. And if you guys want to see a video on that, let me know in the comments. I'm still learning it, but it has been super helpful for me. It kind of gives a more insight of what's happening in the market than just watching price action. And the way you do that is by clicking level 2 right here. And what that is these are orders that are set to be placed. They're limit orders, these are limit buys, and these are limit sells. And as these orders get closer to the ask and the bid, they're more likely to get filled. And when they eventually do get filled, they show up on the time and sales right here on the side, which the market's closed, so there's nothing going on. But what you can do is you can watch these orders piling up, and right down here and right here, I saw massive buy orders piling up on the bid over here and not so many on the sell side. And you wouldn't have been able to see that if you were just looking at price action. And so it kind of gave me an insight into what was going to happen. And even if I did see sellers over here, even if there were a lot of sellers and the market's going up, I know that those are sellers who are going to be stopped out of their positions and fuel this move to the upside, like I said before. And this is what institutions look for. And this is why you need to think like an institution. However, trade like a day trader, because obviously you can't trade like an institution. You don't have the money. But what you can do is try to use their mindset to your advantage. This worked out great today. Let me just show you my journal really quickly. So this is my journal. If you're watching my Instagram, which I highly recommend you do, I took a screenshot from here, posted it on my story, and these are the 2 trades that I made. Right here, I kind of go through the basin candles, entry candles, but what you can look at right here is this is where I go through my journaling, my thought process for each of these trades. My first scalp, I made 40%. My next scalp, I made over 100%, going straight from my demand to my target supply zone. Beautiful trade. Go to my Instagram. You can look at the journal there. But this was an amazing day. I hope everybody made money this day because strong demand zone. These break and retests have been working so well. I'm going to keep making these trades and keep breaking this down for you. But like I said, let me know if you want me to make a video on time and sales. I'll tell you right now, I'm not an expert. I'm just learning. But how I have used it has been super beneficial. And honestly, I can attribute these 2 wins greatly to zooming out onto the 5-minute time frame and then looking at time and sales throughout my entire, not time and sales, level 2 throughout my entire trade. I hope that helped you guys. I'll talk to you in the next one.